Hello and welcome back to Speak to Success. This is a follow-up video for our first video on nouns. We are going to classify 3 different types of nouns. I know we've been doing a lot of classifying, but there is one more group of categories that you should know about. So we have one category here, and this category is called countable nouns. We have another group here called abstract nouns. And we have a group here called non-countable nouns. So you might be wondering, what are all these groups of nouns and what do they mean? Well, I'm going to introduce you to each of these categories shortly. So this first category, countable nouns, right over here, refers to nouns that can be counted. It's as simple as that. 1, 2, 3, 4, you name it. You can count these nouns because you can have multiple. You can have a singular and you can have a plural. So, for example, you can have, let's say, plates. Plate is a countable noun because you can have 5 plates, 6 plates. You can have multiple dogs. You can have multiple dogs. You can have multiple chairs, tables, pencils. You can have multiple of these kind of nouns. You can have a singular plus plural. So these nouns are countable. Now, you also have this group over here that is a non-countable noun. What do I mean by non-countable? Well, it's a thing. It can be a thing. It can be a place or a person. But you can have countable people. For example, teacher, that's countable because you could have 5 teachers, 6 teachers. That's classified as people when you're talking about nouns. But here, when you're talking about non-countable nouns, we refer to things such as rice, or we can say basketball, any sport really, hockey, swimming, football. We can say soil, air. These things cannot be counted in numbers. We have elements such as like lead or helium. You can't say multiple. It would be weird for us to say 3 rice because that doesn't make sense. We cannot count these quantities. It's just a standard word. For example, a subject at school like biology or chemistry or mathematics. Those are all nouns that are not countable. And the important thing to know about this non-countable nouns is that non-countable nouns are always singular because you cannot have a plural form. Similar to how we talked about fish or sheep or deer, those words are also non-countable, even though they feel like they could be non-countable, but they are actually not. You cannot count these deer, sheep, or fish. So those are also non-countable in a way, and they don't have a plural form. Now let's talk about the last category: abstract nouns. Abstract nouns are ideas, which is another category of nouns, but they are ideas that cannot be quantified in any way. They are abstract. They are not concrete. They are not set in stone. They're not objective. They're not easy. They're not easy to understand unless described. And we will talk about this further. But this can be referring to things such as personalities, ideas such as being bravery, honesty, courage, which also is a synonym, which we'll be talking about as well, so what synonyms and antonyms, but in a brief overview would mean it means the same thing as bravery, courage, We have other ideas that are abstract, such as peace, as we had talked about in the first video, or non-violence, or friendship. And the main thing to understand is that we cannot really touch these. These are other concepts that we cannot feel in our hands. We can feel a dog. We can feel a chair. We can even feel non-countable items such as rain. We can feel it. But abstract concepts are things that we usually do with actions. They have to be actions or part of ourselves, personalities, or so essentially we cannot feel these with our senses. We cannot feel them with our senses, our five senses, hearing, touch, seeing, or smelling, and all of our senses. We cannot feel these abstract ideas. So now that you have a good idea of what these three are, I hope you'll be able to get a better understanding about what nouns are, essentially, and hopefully this has gotten easier for you to understand overall. So thank you so much for tuning in to Speak to Success, and we hope you enjoyed these last few lessons on nouns. Now we'll be going into our next lesson in parts of speech. This lesson will cover verbs. Until then, take care, and remember, practice makes perfect.